Are you stressed at work? According to the World Health Organization, work-related stress can be caused by poor work organization, poor work design, poor management, unsatisfactory working conditions, and lack of support from colleagues and supervisors. Does this sound familiar? Do you know how to handle stress? Welcome to the MoFPS Coffee and Conversations, where we share the experiences of our public servants as they navigate a life of service. I am your host, Shaquille Rochester Shorter. Follow the ministry on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now LinkedIn. Look for MOF Jamaica or the Ministry of Finance Jamaica. Today, we take several sips of coffee and have a conversation with Trevor E. Smith, CEO and founding director of the INFOSERV Group, which includes the Success with People Academy. Trevor is also the Caribbean franchise holder for the Extended Disc Network, which conducts profile assessments for teams and organizations. Trevor is a people skills and performance enhancement specialist, and today he will be sharing tips on handling stress in the workplace. Trevor, welcome.
Thank you, Shaquille.
Trevor, I know that you're an expert in stress management, but I just want you to tell me about an experience that you were under a lot of stress and how you handled that.
Okay. First of all, an expert is somebody who is far away from home, right? So that's okay. I'm going to use my familiar dog story.
Sure.
So I have a problem with dogs. So I was walking one morning down the road, came back up, and the neighbor had left the dogs out. So the dogs were in front of the gate, and I turned back down and figured that something might happen, and they go back inside. Eventually, I said, listen to me, I might be hospitalized, but I have to go. I have something to do.
Push through.
So I walked past the dogs, and they didn't even pay me any mind. A big lesson that I learned from that, and I think people can take it, is that sometimes we make assumptions.
Yes.
A lot of the stress that we go through, really and truly, have no basis. Well, I suppose it has a basis in the sense that in our minds,
just in our heads.
Yes, in our heads it's there, but it never actually happens.
Yes. So what are some of the signs of stress in the workplace?
Frustration, tension, snapping at people, fear, literally fear.
Yes.
So those are some of the challenges that we have. So usually, I like to look at things using two classifications. One, events, individuals, situations can either be a stressor or a satisfier.
Okay.
All right? And so we have to look at it. The danger we have, I know we're talking workplace, but the danger that we have is that the people that are closest to us can be both. So if you have a loved one, it can be a satisfier because you get a lot of pleasure from them. But they can also be a stressor in the sense that they do something that really annoys you. So a stranger, it wouldn't matter. But if this person does it to me, then it impacts me more greatly than if a stranger does it. So we have to look at things, and I would suggest anybody who's listening to this, they should actually work out, create lists, do the work. I like to talk about my stuff as workshops, and work, accent on the work, is that you do the work, create lists. Create lists. One list would be who are the stressors? What are the things that are stressors in my life? Write them down. What are the things that are satisfiers in my life? What gives me pleasure?
All right, Trevor, don't give away the practical tips yet.
Okay.
So you touched on personal life just now, right?
Go ahead.
How can someone ensure that stressful situations in their personal lives don't affect their work lives?
Very hard. Very hard.
Okay.
Right, but I want to put the magnitude of the task up front as well. In the sense that there is a theory that you leave your personal life at the gate when you come into work. It doesn't happen. Because we are wholesome persons. However, we are also professionals. So I have a tiff with my mother at home or my, when I come to work, I can't bring that to my colleague. I can't bring that mindset to my boss. I have to be able to.
But how do we separate that?
It's a mindset, all right? One of the things that I talk about, and maybe you will carry me to a psychiatrist after this, is that we have to play mind games.
Okay.
We have to shut down, Let us look at, I don't know what's your favorite actor, once upon a time, Denzel or whoever it is. When they go and play a role, that's what they do. They play a role. It's not real. So sometimes we have to learn to play a role. Yeah. So I'm going to work. I really left my house in a tiff, but I'm going to act the professional, the calm.
So be the professional in the workplace.
Yes. Well, I'm acting it out right now because right now my mind is somewhere, but I'm going to act it out. So that's what I'm just saying to you, that we have to play a role. Yeah?
Get you.
So when we go through the gate, lights, camera, action, boom, and we play that role. Play a role.
All right, so Trevor, 5 practical tips to handle stress in the workplace.
One of them would be, as I said, look at stressors, look at what it is that's stressful.
Yes.
Right? You need to go back in history and to see there's a thing called a trigger.
Yes, what triggers you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can identify your triggers, you can really and truly deal with most of the stress that affects you. Don't pass over the feeling. Something is going on in your head, you just don't feel right. Find out what it is. Dig deeper. Don't ignore it. Most of us just kind of pass it over. And then it comes back again and it builds up and then you explode. So the first thing is do the history. The second one is don't ignore your emotions. Own it, feel it, and then accept that that is there. The third thing that I would say is change your mindset. There are situations in which you have to behave in a way that maybe you don't want to. This is again going back to the professional. There is a way that maybe your supervisor, your manager has said something to you, and you would like to say something back to him, but as the professional, as somebody who is hoping to keep the job and to get a promotion, you learn not to do that. So that's another thing would be to understand that you are in control of your emotions. One of them is to insert fun, joy. It takes away that animosity, that feeling of anger or helplessness. All of that is taken away because I have now cast you in an amusing role, a role that's fun like. Right? So that is kind of crazy.
The last one now, Trevor.
Last one is physical activity. Change your state. One of the big things that they tell you with stress is change your state. So if you're here, you can't get this problem solved, etc., get up, walk, move around, do something else. And even, you can actually do, office exercise. If you go on YouTube, you will see exercises that you can do that would actually release stress, etc. So that's 5.
The ministry actually did that with our Fit Team Challenge. We gave tips on how to exercise from your work desk. So that's good. Those tips, I am sure, will be helpful to a lot of people. So thank you, Trevor, for sharing all that you just did with us. Are you feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Do you need to speak with a professional? Contact the Public Sector Employee Assistance Program at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service by calling 876-932-5310 or send an email to pseap@mof.gov.jm. The Public Sector Employee Assistance Program is a counseling service that offers short-term assistance to public sector workers. We thank you for tuning in to this episode of MoFPS Coffee and Conversations. We aim to share the experiences of public servants as they navigate a life of service. Real people, real stories. If you haven't checked us out yet or been following us on social media, be sure to do so. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now LinkedIn. Search for MOF Jamaica or the Ministry of Finance Jamaica. Until next time, I am your host, Shaquille Rochester Shorter.